The massive space station known as New Busan hung like a jewel against the darkness of space. Its rings spun slowly, creating gravity for the thousands who called it home. Humans had built it as a trading post, but now all kinds of aliens lived and worked there too. In the busy central hub, a small diner called Star Plate served food from across the galaxy. It wasn't fancy, but it was clean and the food was good. Most days, Hana worked her shift without much excitement. She served coffee to tired cargo pilots and breakfast to station workers. At 26, she had worked there for 5 years, saving money for music school. Today started like any other. Hana tied her apron and grabbed her order pad. The morning rush had ended and only a few customers remained. She was wiping down a table when the diner's front door slid open with a soft hiss. The room went silent. 4 tall guards in gleaming armor stepped inside. Their scales shimmered with blue-green light and their eyes glowed gold. Dragons. Not the ancient Earth kind from stories, but the real, space-faring dragon people of the stellar Imperium. They scanned the room with cold eyes. One guard spoke into a device on his wrist. "Area secure, Your Luminance." The next figure that entered made the guards look small. Emperor Day of the Dragon Imperium had to duck to enter the diner. His scales were deep blue with patterns of light that looked like star maps. A crown of crystal spines rose from his head. In his arms, he carried something small. The diner owner, Mr. Kang, nearly dropped the cup he was holding. Your Imperial Luminance," he stammered, bowing deeply. "We are honored, but we have no special preparations." Emperor Day raised a clawed hand. "We require no ceremony, only a quiet place." His voice was deep and rumbled like distant thunder. That's when Hana noticed what the Emperor carried. It was a baby dragon, a dragonling. The small creature's scales were pale blue, almost white. It squirmed in its father's arms, making small distressed sounds. Mr. Kang quickly led them to the largest booth in the back corner. The Emperor sat down carefully, still holding the dragonling. The guards positioned themselves around the booth, their hands near their weapons. The other customers paid their bills quickly and left. Soon only the staff remained, watching nervously from behind the counter. "Hana?" Mr. Kang whispered urgently. "Take their order. And be respectful." Hana nodded and approached the booth. Up close, the Emperor was even more impressive. His scales contained actual light, not just reflections. The patterns shifted slightly, like real stars moving in their courses. "Welcome to Starplate," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. "What can I get for you today?" The Emperor looked up at her. His golden eyes seemed to see right through her. "Water. Pure water. Not from your recyclers if possible." "We have bottled spring water from Earth," Hana offered. "That will suffice." As Hana turned to get the water, the dragonling in the Emperor's arms began to cry. It wasn't like a human baby's cry, it was higher, almost like a song but filled with distress. The sound made Hana's heart ache. When she returned with the water, the Emperor was trying to comfort the small dragon. He spoke soft words in a language Hana didn't understand, but nothing seemed to help. The dragonling's cries grew louder. Is your child sick?" Hana asked as she set down the water. One of the guards stepped forward. "You will address his luminance with proper." The Emperor raised his hand again, stopping the guard. "The human's question is reasonable." He looked at Hana. "Yes, Prince Tay suffers from a respiratory condition. The healer suggested this station's atmosphere might help, as it contains elements similar to our homeworld." The dragonling, Prince Tay, continued to cry. His tiny wings fluttered weakly, and his breathing sounded labored. "I'm sorry to hear that," Hana said. She watched as the Emperor tried again to soothe his son. Despite his power and fearsome appearance, right now he just looked like a worried father. Without thinking, Hana began to hum. It was an old lullaby her grandmother had taught her, one she sang to her little brother when he was sick. The soft melody filled the quiet diner. The guards stiffened, hands moving to their weapons. But the Emperor didn't seem angry. He watched Hana with curious eyes. Encouraged, Hana began to sing the words softly. "River flows gently down to the sea. Stars shine brightly to guide you and me. Close your eyes now and rest your head. Dreams will carry you home to bed. Something amazing happened." The dragonling's cries began to fade, his glowing eyes fixed on Hana, wide with wonder. His breathing slowed and became more regular. Hana continued singing, repeating the simple verses. Prince Tay's eyes began to droop. By the third repetition, he had fallen asleep in his father's arms. The diner remained silent when she finished. The Emperor stared at her with an expression she couldn't read. "How did you do that?" he finally asked. Hana shrugged. "It's just an old lullaby. My grandmother sang it to me, and I sang it to my brother when he was little." "Interesting." The Emperor studied her name tag. "Hana, your song has done what our best healers could not. Prince Tay has not slept peacefully in days." "I'm glad it helped," Hana said. "Sometimes music works better than medicine." "Indeed." The Emperor's star map scales shifted, forming new patterns. "Tell me, what is your position here?" "I'm just a waitress." "And you sing?" "Only for myself, usually. I hope to study music someday." The Emperor nodded slowly. "I would speak with you further about this. Your song has properties that interest me greatly." One of the guards leaned down and whispered something to the Emperor, who nodded. "We must return to our ship now that the prince is resting," he said. "But I will return tomorrow." "You will be here?" "I work the morning shift every day," Hana replied. The Emperor stood carefully, cradling his sleeping son. He towered over Hana, his head nearly touching the ceiling. "Until tomorrow, then." After they left, the diner erupted in excited whispers. Mr. Kang rushed over to Hana. "What did you do?" "What did he say to you?" he demanded. "I just sang a lullaby," Hana said, still stunned by what had happened. "And he's coming back tomorrow." Mr. Kang looked both terrified and thrilled. "The Dragon Emperor. In my diner! Do you know what this means for business?" But Hana wasn't thinking about business. She was thinking about the sleeping dragonling and the look in the Emperor's eyes when his son finally rested. Despite ruling 17 galaxies, he had seemed so human in that moment. That night, Hana couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about Prince Tay and his father. Dragons were known across the galaxy as conquerors, not as caring parents. The news channels always showed them as fearsome warriors, not worried fathers with sick children. She wondered what would happen tomorrow when Emperor Day returned. Would he offer her a reward? Would he demand she sing for his son again? Whatever happened, Hana knew her life had just changed forever. Somehow, a simple lullaby had connected her to the most powerful being in the known universe, and something told her this was just the beginning. The next morning, Hana arrived at Starplate an hour early. She had barely slept, her mind filled with thoughts of the Dragon Emperor and his sick child. Mr. Kang had already opened the diner and was nervously checking everything twice. "Is the Emperor here yet?" Hana asked as she tied her apron. "No, but look outside." Mr. Kang pointed to the large viewing window. Hana gasped. A massive dragon ship hung in space near the station. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. The ship looked like it was made of living metal, with scales that shifted colors in the light of the nearby star. It was at least 20 times larger than any human ship she had ever seen. "That's the Emperor's personal ship," Mr. Kang said. "The Star Dragon. They say it's alive." Before Hana could ask more questions, the diner door opened. This time only 2 guards entered, followed by Emperor Day. He wore what looked like a simple cloak over his scaled body, but the fabric seemed to bend light around it. Without his full royal dress, he looked less intimidating, though still massive and powerful. The few early customers quickly paid and left, eyes wide with fear and wonder. "Your Luminance," Mr. Kang bowed deeply. "Welcome back to Starplate. We have prepared our finest table for you." The Emperor nodded. The human called Hana. "Is she here?" "Yes, Your Luminance." Mr. Kang waved frantically at Hana to come forward. Hana approached and gave a small bow. "Good morning, Your Luminance. How is Prince Tay today?" "He rested well after your song," the Emperor said. "But his condition returned this morning. I have left him in the care of his nurses." He looked around the diner. "Is there a place where we might speak privately?" Mr. Kang nearly fell over himself, offering the small office in the back. "Please use my office." "It's not fancy, but it's private." The Emperor had to duck to enter the small room. Hana followed, her heart beating fast. One guard remained outside the door while the other stood inside. "You may leave us," the Emperor told the guard inside. "But Your Luminance, I am in no danger from this human. Wait outside." The guard bowed and left, closing the door behind him. Now alone with the Emperor, Hana stood awkwardly by the desk. The room seemed tiny, with the dragon's large form taking up so much space. "Please sit," the Emperor said, gesturing to the chair. Hana sat down. Up close, she could see that the Emperor's scales weren't just blue. They contained tiny points of light that moved like real stars. "Your song," he began. It had an unusual effect on Prince Tay. Our healers have studied the recording I made and they are puzzled. Recording? Hana asked. Yes. My eyes can record what I see and hear. The Emperor touched a small device on his wrist, and suddenly Hana's voice filled the room, singing the lullaby from yesterday. Oh, Hana said, feeling strange hearing her own voice. It's just an old Earth song. Not just a song, the Emperor corrected. The sound patterns in your voice created a calming effect on dragon physiology that we have never seen before. Especially from a human. He leaned forward slightly, his golden eyes intense. Tell me, where did you learn this song? From my grandmother. She learned it from her grandmother. It's been in my family for generations. And your family is from Earth? Yes, from a place called Korea. Though we've lived on space stations for 3 generations now. The Emperor made a low humming sound that Hana felt more than heard. Interesting. There are old stories among my people about humans who could sing to dragons. Most consider them myths. Hana shifted in her seat. I don't understand. Why would my singing affect dragons? That is what I wish to discover. The Emperor's voice was deep and thoughtful. Prince Tay's condition is rare but serious. If your singing can help him, I would consider it a great service to the Imperium. Hana's eyes widened. You want me to sing for him again? I wish to offer you a position in the royal household. You would care for Prince Tay. Using your voice to help his healing, you would be well compensated. Hana couldn't believe what she was hearing. You want me to leave the station? To live among dragons? Yes, on my ship at first. Later, perhaps on our homeworld. Hana's mind raced. Leave everything she knew to live among aliens? Dragons were known to be proud and dangerous. Few humans had ever been allowed into their inner circles. I don't know what to say, she stammered. You are afraid, the Emperor stated. It wasn't a question, yes, Hana admitted. Dragons and humans don't mix much. And I know nothing about caring for a dragon child. You know how to sing, the Emperor said simply. That is what matters. As for fear, he looked at her with those golden eyes. Consider this, I rule 17 galaxies. I command fleets that could destroy the station with a single word. Yet yesterday I stood helpless before my suffering child. Then you, a simple human, did what I could not. His voice softened slightly. Perhaps it is I who should fear you. Hana couldn't help but smile at the idea. I don't think the most powerful being in the known universe needs to fear a waitress. Something like amusement flickered in the Emperor's eyes. Power takes many forms, Hana of Earth. Some are obvious, like my armies. Others are hidden, like your song. He stood up, his head nearly touching the ceiling. I will give you time to consider my offer. 3 days. Then I will return for your answer. As he turned to leave, Hana found her courage. Wait, what about Prince Tay? Will he be okay for 3 days? The Emperor paused. The healers will do what they can. Could I see him? Maybe sing to him again, just to help until I decide. The Emperor studied her for a long moment. You would do this without promise of reward? He's a sick child, Hana said simply. No child should suffer if someone can help. Something changed in the Emperor's posture. His scales shifted color slightly, the star patterns realigning. Very well. You may visit the prince today if you wish. 2 hours later, Hana found herself on a small shuttle approaching the massive dragon ship. Mr. Kang had practically pushed her out the door, saying this was the opportunity of a lifetime. Now as the shuttle entered a docking bay larger than the entire diner, Hana wondered if she had made a mistake. The inside of the Star Dragon was unlike anything Hana had imagined. The walls seemed alive, pulsing with soft light. The air was warmer and richer than on the station, with strange, sweet smells she couldn't identify. A female dragon in flowing robes met her at the dock. I am Sora, head nurse to Prince Tay. His luminance has informed me of your abilities. Sora led Hana through corridors that curved and flowed like rivers. Other dragons they passed stared at Hana with obvious surprise or suspicion. Humans were clearly rare visitors here. Finally, they reached a large door covered in glowing symbols. It slid open to reveal a beautiful room with a domed ceiling that showed the stars outside. In the center was a nest-like bed where the small dragonling lay. Prince Tay looked worse than yesterday. His scales were dull and his breathing came in short gasps. A team of dragon healers worked around him using strange devices Hana didn't recognize. Emperor Day stood nearby, his face showing worry that transcended species differences. Your luminance, Hana bowed. I'm here to help if I can. The Emperor nodded. Approach. Hana walked to the edge of the nest. Up close, Prince Tay looked so small and fragile. His eyes were closed, his tiny claws clutching a soft blanket. Taking a deep breath, Hana began to sing. The same lullaby as before, soft and gentle. The dragon healers stepped back, watching with curious eyes. As she sang, something amazing happened. The lights in the room seemed to pulse with her voice. The walls of the ship itself vibrated slightly as if joining her song. Prince Tay's eyes fluttered open. He looked at Hana, and his labored breathing began to ease. By the end of the song, he was breathing normally, his scales regaining some of their shine. When Hana finished singing, the room was silent except for the soft hum of the ship. Remarkable, one of the healers said. His vital signs have stabilized. Emperor Day moved to stand beside Hana. It seems my son recognizes you. Prince Tay made a soft chirping sound and reached one tiny clawed hand toward Hana. Without thinking, she reached back, letting him grasp her finger. I think, Hana said softly, I may have just made my decision. 1 week later, Hana stood in her new quarters aboard the Star Dragon. The room was larger than her entire apartment on New Busan Station. The walls glowed with soft light that changed color based on her mood. The bed was round and surprisingly comfortable for something made for dragon bodies. A large window showed the stars outside, currently streaking by as the ship traveled through hyperspace. Hana still couldn't believe how quickly her life had changed. She had packed her few belongings, said goodbye to Mr. Kang and her friends, and moved on to the Emperor's ship. Now she was officially Royal Songkeeper to Prince Tay, a title that hadn't existed until she arrived. A soft chime sounded at her door. Come in, Hana called. The door slid open to reveal Sora, the head nurse. It is time for the prince's afternoon session, she said. Hana nodded and followed Sora through the living corridors of the ship. After a week, she was starting to learn her way around, though the ship was enormous. They passed other dragons who nodded respectfully to her, a big change from the suspicious looks of her first day. In the royal nursery, Prince Tay was awake and alert. His scales had regained their pearly shine, and he flapped his small wings with growing strength. When he saw Hana, he made happy chirping sounds. His breathing is much better today, said Healer June, the chief medical officer. Your singing sessions have shown remarkable results. Hana smiled and approached the prince's nest. Hello, little one. Ready for some songs? Tay chirped excitedly and reached for her with his tiny clawed hands. For the next hour, Hana sang various earth songs, not just lullabies but folk songs and children's tunes. The dragon healers recorded everything, studying how different melodies affected the prince's vital signs. Fascinating, June said as he reviewed the data. The songs with repeating patterns seem most effective, and when you use this particular note sequence, he pointed to a chart Hana couldn't understand. I'm just glad it's helping, Hana said. It is more than helping, said a deep voice from the doorway. Emperor Day entered the nursery, his scales glittering with starlight. Everyone bowed deeply. Your luminance, Hana said, bowing as well. The emperor approached his son's nest. Tay chirped happily and reached for his father. Day gently stroked the dragonling's head with one clawed finger. His strength returns, the emperor said. The healers tell me he may soon be well enough to begin flight training. That's wonderful news, Hana said. The emperor turned to her. Walk with me, Songkeeper. Hana followed the emperor out of the nursery and down a corridor she hadn't seen before. They entered a large garden area filled with strange plants that glowed and moved slightly, as if breathing. This is the Imperial Garden, Day explained. Plants from our home world. It's beautiful, Hana said, looking at flowers that changed colors as she watched. I wish to speak with you privately, the emperor said. About your songs. Is something wrong? Hana asked. No, quite the opposite. The emperor gestured for her to sit on a bench made of what looked like living wood. He remained standing, his tall form towering over her. Our scientists have been studying your singing, he continued. They have discovered something unexpected. The patterns in your songs match ancient dragon communication forms that have not been used in thousands of years. Hana blinked in surprise. How is that possible? That is what I wish to know. The emperor's golden eyes studied her intently. These patterns were used before our species began space travel, during what we call the First Age. They were lost during the Great Expansion. But how would human songs contain dragon patterns? Hana asked. There is a theory, the Emperor said slowly, long dismissed as myth, that dragons and humans met before in ancient times. Before written history, Hana thought about this. You mean, dragons might have visited Earth long ago? Or humans visited our world? The Emperor made a gesture with his hand and a holographic image appeared between them. It showed what looked like cave paintings, primitive drawings of humans and dragon-like creatures together. These were discovered on both Earth and our homeworld, he explained. Most scholars considered them coincidence, but your songs suggest otherwise. Hana stared at the images, trying to process what this meant. So my lullaby might be what? Some kind of ancient dragon song passed down through human generations? Perhaps. The Emperor waved away the hologram. I have authorized a full research project, but I wish to ask you directly, does your family have any stories about dragons? Any traditions that might explain this connection? Hana thought hard. My grandmother used to say the lullaby was special, that it could speak to the stars. I always thought it was just a saying. The Emperor made that low humming sound again, which Hana now recognized as interest. Speaking to stars is a dragon concept. We believe stars are living beings. Really? Hana looked out the garden window at the streaking stars of hyperspace. There is much our species could learn from each other, the Emperor said. Which brings me to my proposal. Another one? Hana smiled slightly. The Emperor's scales shifted in what might have been amusement. Yes, I wish to expand your role. Not just singing to Prince Tay, but teaching our people about human music, and learning our songs as well. A cultural exchange? Hana asked. Precisely. For too long, dragons have seen humans as lesser beings. Perhaps it is time for that to change. Hana couldn't believe what she was hearing. The Dragon Emperor, ruler of 17 galaxies, wanted her to help bridge their cultures. I would be honored, she said, but I'm not a music expert. I'm just a waitress who sings, the Emperor finished. Yet your simple songs have healed my son when our most advanced medicine failed. Sometimes the most important knowledge comes from unexpected sources. Over the next month, Hana's life took on a new rhythm. Mornings were spent with Prince Tay, singing and playing. The little dragon grew stronger each day, now able to fly short distances and speak a few words in both dragon language and human English. Afternoons were for cultural exchange. Hana taught a group of interested dragons about human music, from classical to pop. In return, they taught her dragon songs, complex patterns of sound that seemed to paint pictures in the air. Evenings were often spent with Emperor Day himself. He was curious about all aspects of human culture, asking endless questions about Earth, its history, and its people. Hana found herself becoming less intimidated by him, seeing past his fearsome appearance to the thoughtful ruler within. One evening, as they walked in the imperial garden, Day asked, "Do you miss your home, Hana?" She considered the question. Sometimes, but this has become a kind of home too. You have adapted well to life among dragons, he observed. It helps that Prince Tay is so sweet, Hana said with a smile. It's hard to be scared of dragons when one of them falls asleep in your lap while you sing. The Emperor made a sound that Hana realized was a laugh, the first she had ever heard from him. My son has grown quite attached to you, he said, as have many on this ship, including you. Hana asked boldly, then immediately worried she had overstepped. But the Emperor nodded. Yes, your perspective is refreshing. Most beings fear me too much to speak honestly. Well, it's hard to be afraid of someone after you've seen them trying to feed a fussy baby, Hana said. This earned another dragon laugh. Indeed. As they continued walking, Hana noticed something strange. The plants in the garden seemed to respond to their presence, turning toward them and glowing brighter. The plants, she said. They're moving. They respond to emotions, the Emperor explained. Dragon emotions normally. But they seem to sense you as well. Another mystery. Hana reached out to touch a flower that pulsed with blue light. It curled gently around her finger like a greeting. Maybe humans and dragons aren't so different after all, she said softly. The Emperor looked at her with those ancient golden eyes. Perhaps that is the most important discovery of all. 3 months after Hana joined the imperial household, the star dragon arrived at Lumina, the dragon homeworld. From orbit, the planet looked like a jewel, swirling blues and greens with patches of golden land. Unlike Earth, Lumina had 3 small moons that created complex tides in its vast oceans. Hana stood at the viewing window, watching the planet grow larger as they approached. Prince Tay perched on her shoulder, his small claws gently gripping her special padded uniform. At 4 months old, he was now the size of a large cat and could speak simple sentences in both dragon and human languages. Home, Tay chirped excitedly, his wings fluttering. Hana, see home. Yes, I'll finally see your home. Hana smiled, reaching up to stroke his pearly scales. The prince's health had improved dramatically. He now only needed 1 singing session per day, and his breathing problems appeared less frequently. Emperor Day entered the observation deck, his scales particularly bright today. Around his neck hung the imperial crest, a crystal that glowed with inner fire. We will land at the royal palace in 1 hour, he announced. Are you prepared for the welcoming ceremony, Songkeeper? Hana nodded, though her stomach fluttered with nerves. I've memorized all the protocols Sora taught me. Good. The imperial court is a traditional. Your presence will challenge many of their beliefs about humans. That was putting it mildly. During her time on the Star Dragon, Hana had learned that many dragons still viewed humans as primitive beings barely worth notice. Her new position had caused quite a stir among the noble houses. Will they be mean to Hana? Tay asked his father, sensing the tension. The Emperor's eyes softened as he looked at his son. No one would dare show disrespect to your Songkeeper, little one. An hour later, Hana stood at the main exit ramp of the Star Dragon, dressed in formal robes made of shimmering blue fabric that matched the imperial colors. Prince Tay stood beside her, wearing his first formal regalia, a small version of his father's royal symbols. The Emperor addressed Hana one last time before the doors opened. Remember, walk 6 steps behind me, keep your eyes lowered until I introduce you, and do not speak unless spoken to. Hana nodded, her heart pounding. The massive doors slid open and bright golden sunlight poured in. The air that rushed in was warm and sweet, filled with scents Hana had never experienced before. Emperor Dai stepped out first, his massive form silhouetted against the light. A great roar went up from thousands of dragon throats, a sound so powerful Hana felt it in her bones. Following protocol, Hana waited until Prince Tay had walked out, then counted to 6 and followed. She kept her eyes down as she emerged onto a vast platform of what looked like mother of pearl. When she finally dared to look up, she gasped. Stretching before her was the most beautiful city she had ever seen. Towers of crystal and living stone rose into the golden sky. Flying dragons of all sizes soared between the buildings. In the distance, mountains floated in the air, held aloft by some unknown force. Directly in front of the platform stood hundreds of dragons in formal attire, the imperial court. Their scales represented every color imaginable. Though all wore some symbol of blue to honor the Emperor, Emperor Day raised his hands and silence fell. We have returned, his voice boomed across the gathering. And we bring joyous news. Prince Tay's health is restored, thanks to the discovery of ancient knowledge. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. The Emperor continued. I present to you Hana of Earth, royal songkeeper to Prince Tay and cultural ambassador of humanity. Hana stepped forward and bowed deeply, as she had been taught. The crowd's reaction was mixed. Some dragons bowed in return, while others made sounds of surprise or disapproval. An older dragon with faded red scales stepped forward. Your luminance, while we rejoice at the prince's health, bringing a human to our sacred homeworld is unprecedented. The Council of Elders has concerns. Your concerns are noted, Elder Mock, the Emperor replied coolly. They will be addressed at tomorrow's council meeting. For now, we celebrate our return. The welcome ceremony continued, but Hana could feel the tension in the air. Not everyone was happy about her presence on Lumina. That night, Hana stayed in a beautiful room in the royal palace. The walls were made of the same living crystal as the Star Dragon, but here they seemed even more alive, pulsing with the planet's natural rhythms. Her window overlooked a garden filled with the glowing plants she had come to love. As she prepared for bed, an urgent knock came at her door. It was Sora looking worried. You must come quickly, the dragon nurse said. Prince Tay is asking for you. He cannot sleep and his breathing has worsened. Hana rushed to the prince's chambers. The little dragon lay in his nest, wheezing slightly. When he saw Hana, he reached for her. Sing, please, he said weakly. Hana sat beside his nest and began to sing the lullaby that had first connected them. As always, the effect was immediate. Tay's breathing eased and his eyes began to close. What happened next surprised everyone in the room. The walls of the chamber began to glow brighter, pulsing in rhythm with Hana's song. The light spread outward, flowing through the crystal structure of the palace itself. Emperor Day burst into the room, his eyes wide. What is happening? Healer Jun, who had been monitoring the prince, looked stunned. The palace is responding to her voice, Your Luminance. I've never seen anything like it. The emperor stared at Hana as she finished her song. Prince Tay was now sleeping peacefully. Come with me, Day said to Hana. Now. He led her through corridors that glowed in their wake, down into the depths of the palace. They entered a vast chamber that Hana immediately recognized as important. The walls were covered in ancient carvings showing the history of the dragon people. This is the heart chamber, the emperor explained, the oldest part of the palace built around the first crystal found on Lumina. It is said to contain the memories of our ancestors. In the center of the room stood a massive crystal, taller than even the emperor. It glowed with blue-white light. Sing, the emperor commanded. The same song. Feeling nervous but curious, Hana began to sing the lullaby again. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The great crystal flared with light, and images began to appear within it, moving pictures like a hologram. The images showed dragons and humans together, not in modern times but in what appeared to be ancient history. They showed humans singing to dragons and dragons teaching humans to build great structures. They showed shared meals, shared knowledge, shared lives. The forgotten time, the emperor whispered, his voice filled with awe. It's real. As Hana's song ended, the images faded, but the crystal continued to glow brighter than before. What does this mean? Hana asked, her voice small in the vast chamber. It means, said a voice from the doorway, that everything we believed about humans was wrong. Elder Mok stood there, along with several other members of the Council of Elders. Their faces showed shock and wonder. The heart crystal has not responded like this in 10,000 years, Mok said. It recognizes your song, human. It recognizes you. The emperor turned to the elders. Now do you understand why I brought her here? The ancient connection between our species was not a myth. It was history. History that we forgot or chose to ignore when we began our expansion. Before anyone could respond, a loud alarm sounded throughout the palace. A guard rushed into the chamber. Your Luminance, we are under attack. Rebel ships have entered the atmosphere. The peaceful moment shattered. Emperor Day's scales darkened with anger. The Crimson Wing faction. They choose now to strike? He turned to Hana. Return to your chambers and stay with Prince Tay. Guards will protect you. As Hana hurried back through the palace, explosions shook the building. Through windows she could see ships firing at the city. Fear gripped her heart, not for herself but for Tay. When she reached the royal nursery, she found it in chaos. Guards fought with intruders dressed in red armor. In the confusion, Hana slipped past the fighting and found Prince Tay huddled in his nest, trembling with fear. Hana, he cried when he saw her. Bad dragons come. I'm here, she said, gathering him into her arms. I won't let them hurt you. A loud crash came from the doorway as more intruders forced their way in. Hana looked around desperately for an escape route. There was only one option, a small service door that led to the gardens. Holding Tai tightly, Hana ran for the door. Behind her she heard shouts of, "The human has the prince! Stop her!" But Hana was already through the door and running into the night, the fate of the empire cradled in her arms. Hana ran through the palace gardens, holding Prince Tay close to her chest. The little dragon trembled against her, his scales cool with fear. Behind them, shouts and explosions filled the night. Red lights flashed across the sky as ships battled above the city. Where go? Tay whispered, his voice small and frightened. Somewhere safe, Hana promised, though she had no idea where that might be. She was a human on an alien world, running through a garden she barely knew. The glowing plants around them seemed to sense their distress. As Hana passed, they dimmed their light as if trying to hide her. She noticed this and moved deeper into the darker parts of the garden. After several minutes of running, Hana stopped behind a large tree with leaves that shimmered like diamonds. She needed to think. The rebels, these crimson wing dragons, were clearly after Prince Tay. She couldn't go back to the palace, but she couldn't survive long on this alien world alone. Tay, she whispered to the dragonling, do you know a safe place near here? Somewhere secret? The prince lifted his head, his golden eyes wide. Sacred cave, father shows me once. Can you show me where it is? Tay nodded and pointed with one tiny claw. That way, under big floating rock. Hana looked where he pointed and saw a large boulder hovering about 10 feet off the ground at the edge of the garden. It seemed impossible, but after months with dragons, she had learned that many impossible things were real. Staying in the shadows, Hana made her way toward the floating rock. As they got closer, she saw a small opening in the ground beneath it. It looked barely big enough for her to squeeze through. Suddenly, a bright light swept over the garden. A rebel ship hovered above, searching with powerful beams. There, the human with the prince, a voice shouted. Hana ran the last few yards to the cave entrance and dove inside, sliding down a smooth stone tunnel. She clutched Tay tightly as they fell into darkness. The tunnel curved and twisted, taking them deep underground. Finally, they landed softly on a bed of what felt like moss. It was pitch black. Tay, can you see? Hana asked. Yes, dragons see in dark, the prince said. He wiggled out of her arms. Watch. Tay touched the wall with his claw, and suddenly the cave lit up with soft blue light. The walls were covered with the same living crystal as the palace, but here it seemed older, more powerful. Sacred cave, Tay explained. Only royal family knows. Hana looked around in wonder. The cave was large and round, with a small pool of glowing water in the center. The walls were covered with ancient carvings similar to those in the heart chamber. What is this place? She asked. Old magic place, Tay said simply. Father says our first ancestors lived here. Hana approached the pool. The water glowed with the same light as the heart crystal. She knelt beside it, trying to think of what to do next. Will your father look for us here? She asked. Tay nodded. If he can. Bad dragons won't hurt father. Hana's heart sank. The Emperor might not be able to help them. They might be on their own. As if sensing her thoughts, Tay climbed into her lap. Sing, please. Scared. Hana held him close and began to sing softly. The lullaby echoed gently in the cave. As she sang, something amazing happened. The carvings on the walls began to glow brighter, and the pool's light pulsed with her melody. When she finished the song, the cave was filled with light. The water in the pool swirled and rose up, forming a shape in the air, a map of stars. The imperial star map, said a voice from the tunnel entrance. Hana turned quickly. Emperor Day stood there, his scales damaged and dull in places. He looked wounded but still powerful. Father, Tay cried, flying to him on small wings. The Emperor caught his son gently. You are safe, both of you. He looked at Hana with gratitude in his golden eyes. You protected my son when my guards could not. What's happening? Hana asked. Who are these rebels? The Crimson Wing faction, Day explained, entering the cave fully. Dragons who believe we should conquer rather than cooperate with other species. They have planned this attack for years, waiting for me to return to Lumina. He looked at the star map floating above the pool. But they did not expect this. What is it? Hana asked. The true history of our people, the Emperor said. The map shows not just the stars we rule now, but the ancient paths our ancestors traveled, including their journey to Earth thousands of years ago. He touched the map with one claw, and it shifted to show Earth. Our histories tell that we visited many worlds before we began conquest. Earth was special, the only world where we found beings who could communicate with us through song. The lullaby, Hana said, understanding dawning. It really is from your people. Yes, a teaching song meant to help young dragons learn to breathe properly. The Emperor looked at her with new respect. Somehow your ancestors preserved it through thousands of years while my people forgot. A distant explosion shook the cave. Dust fell from the ceiling. They are bombing the old city, Day growled. We don't have much time. What can we do? Hana asked. I'm just a human and Tay is just a child. You are more than just anything, the Emperor said firmly. You have awakened ancient knowledge that may save us all. He pointed to the pool. This is not just water. It is living memory, the collected wisdom of our ancestors. The same substance flows through the heart crystal and the walls of the palace. It responds to the old songs. So my singing could activate defenses we have forgotten how to use, the Emperor finished. The rebels control the modern weapons, but they know nothing of the old ways. Another explosion, closer this time. The Emperor winced and Hana noticed blood on his side. You're hurt, she said. It is nothing, he dismissed. Hana, I must ask something difficult of you. Something dangerous. Anything, she said without hesitation. After 3 months with the dragons, she had come to care deeply for Tay and his father. You must sing to the heart of the planet itself, Day said. I will take you to the great crystal cavern beneath the palace. There, if the old stories are true, your song could awaken the planet's defense system. And if the stories aren't true, the Emperor's face was grim. Then we have lost everything. 20 minutes later, they moved through secret tunnels beneath the palace. The Emperor led the way, carrying Prince Tay. Hana followed close behind. Twice they had to hide as rebel soldiers passed by. Finally, they reached a massive door made of the same crystal as the heart chamber. Ancient symbols covered its surface. Only royal blood can open this door, the Emperor explained. He pressed his palm against the center of the door, leaving a smear of his own blood. The door glowed and slowly swung open, revealing a sight that took Hana's breath away. A cavern larger than she could comprehend stretched before them. The ceiling soared hundreds of feet high, covered in crystal formations that looked like stars. In the center stood a crystal pillar that reached from floor to ceiling, pulsing with blue-white light. The Great Crystal, Day said with reverence, the heart of Lumina itself. They approached the crystal carefully. The ground beneath them was smooth crystal that reflected their images like water. Each step they took sent ripples of light across the floor. What do I do? Hana asked, her voice small in the vast space. Sing as you have never sung before, the Emperor said. Sing for Tay, for me, for the future of both our peoples. Hana stood before the great crystal, feeling tiny and insignificant. But then she felt a small clawed hand slip into hers. Tay looked up at her with trust in his golden eyes. Sing. Hana, he said simply, taking a deep breath. Hana began to sing. Not just the lullaby this time, but all the songs she had learned, human songs and dragon songs woven together. Her voice echoed in the vast chamber, growing stronger with each note. The great crystal began to pulse with her song. Light spread from it, flowing through the smaller crystals and up through the ceiling. The whole cavern vibrated with sound and light. Above them, in the palace and city, something remarkable happened. The living crystal that formed the buildings began to glow with blinding light. Rebels who touched the walls found themselves unable to move, frozen in place by the ancient defense system. In the sky, the rebel ships suddenly lost power, their engines dead. They fell from the sky, but instead of crashing, they were caught by beams of light and lowered gently to the ground. Back in the cavern, Hana continued to sing until her voice grew hoarse. The great crystal pulsed one final time, then settled into a steady, peaceful glow. It is done, Emperor Day said in wonder. You have awakened the heart of Lumina. Exhausted, Hana sank to her knees. Tay immediately climbed into her lap, nuzzling her with concern. Hana, okay? He asked. Yes, little one, she smiled tiredly. Just need to rest. The Emperor knelt beside them, his massive form somehow less intimidating now. You have saved my son twice, my planet once, and perhaps changed the course of dragon history forever. I just sang some songs, Hana said modestly. You did much more than that, Day said. You reminded us of who we once were, and who we might become again. 1 month later, Hana stood on a balcony of the royal palace, watching dragons and humans mingle in the garden below. After the failed rebellion, Emperor Day had made a shocking announcement. He was opening Lumina to human visitors for the first time in 10,000 years. The first delegation from Earth had arrived yesterday. Scientists, diplomats, and musicians. They looked as amazed by the dragons as Hana had been at first. They seem so small, said a voice behind her. Emperor Day joined her at the railing, his scales fully healed and shining with starlight. We probably seem giant to them, Hana replied with a smile. Indeed. The Emperor watched as Prince Tay showed a group of human children how to make the garden plants glow by singing to them. My son has become quite the ambassador. He's a natural, Hana agreed. He'll make a great emperor someday. Thanks to you, he will rule a very different empire than I have, Day said thoughtfully. One built on cooperation rather than conquest. Is that a bad thing? Hana asked. No, the Emperor said firmly. It is time for change. The old ways nearly destroyed us. From the garden below, the sound of music rose, humans and dragons singing together, creating something new and beautiful. The Council of Elders has been studying the ancient records revealed by the Great Crystal, Day continued. They show that dragons and humans once built wonders together that neither species could create alone. And we can do it again, Hana said. Yes. The Emperor turned to her. Which is why I wish to offer you a permanent position. Not just as Tay's songkeeper, but as the first human ambassador to the Dragon Imperium. Hana's eyes widened. Me, but I'm not a diplomat. I'm just a waitress who sings. Day finished with what Hana now recognized as a dragon smile. Who saved my son, my planet, and perhaps my soul? Who better to build bridges between our peoples? Below them, Prince Tay looked up and waved excitedly. Hana waved back, her heart full. When I first met you, the Emperor said softly, I thought I was offering you a great opportunity. Now I see that it was you who gave the greater gift to us. What gift was that? Hana asked. You reminded us how to sing, Day said simply. And in doing so, you reminded us how to listen. As the sun set over Lumina, casting golden light across the crystal city, human and dragon voices joined together in song, the first notes of a new harmony that would echo across the stars.